Welcome back to 9 Hours, 9 Persons, 9 Doors. I'm Vax, and last we left off, we had to choose which door we wanted to go through. Door number 4 with Santa and June, and Lotus, I think. Or door 5 with the others, and figure out what Junpei was all up in arms about with Birdman. So, let's go 4. Decided that door 4 would be fine. He would go through door 4 with Lotus, Santa, and June. Why had Junpei even considered doing otherwise? He would be there for June, for Akane Kurashiki. That seemed good. He felt it was the right choice to make. He made no shows of affection, but Junpei saw her as something more than just a friend from his childhood. He watched the other 4 walk toward their door. Ace, Snake, Clover, and Seven. Junpei said nothing as they left. Before long, they had reached door 5. They talked to one another for a few seconds, saying things Junpei couldn't hear, and then they laid their hands, one by one, on the scanner panel of the red. Ace grabbed the lever. His face tight with determination, he turned over his shoulder to look at Junpei and his companions. Goodbye. Be careful. As Ace pulled the lever, the door swung open, the mouth of a great hungry beast. Beyond the door, Junpei knew, lay the sad remains of the ninth man. It did not surprise him that Ace, Clover, and Seven hesitated. The body was not a pleasant thing. Snake had no such problems, as his blindness made him immune to the horror. He stepped through the door, his feet making a wet splack in the pool of blood. Do you intend to kill me? I assume you haven't forgotten the door only remains open for 9 seconds, have you? Snake had not even bothered to turn around, but the other 3 steeled themselves and stepped through the door. Door 5 swung shut, closing with a heavy finality of metal upon metal. Junpei and his companions scrambled to the door. They pressed their ears to it in an attempt to hear what might be taking place on the other side. It's beeping. It's just like before. Probably the sound of the detonator on the bracelet. Do you think they're okay? June's face showed her concern more plainly than her words ever could. Almost as though in response to her question, a voice rang out from the other side of the door. It was Seven. Hey, there it is. It's gotta be that dead thing. Come on, get over here. We gotta authenticate. There's more than one dead thing in door 5, Seven. The beeping stopped. The sighs of relief were audible even through the heavy door. Looks like it stopped. Junpei and his companions leaned away from the door and breathed a collective sigh of relief of their own. Hey guys, are you doing alright over there? They'd heard Seven's voice, but it wouldn't hurt to be sure. Yep, we're fine. Despite the recent danger, Clover's voice was as bubbly as ever. Oh hey, I'm going to tell you about this whole dead thing, okay? The dead is just like the red, but the color's different. You know how the red was red? Well, the dead is blue. Other than that, it's just like the red. Authenticating is the same too. Awesome. Thanks. That helps a lot. Well, we should probably move on now. You be careful out there. Roger that. Junpei and the others left door 5 and headed toward door 4. They stood in front of the red and placed each of their hands upon it. 4 asterisks appeared on the screen. Junpei grabbed the lever and turned around. You guys ready? Yeah. Sure. Let's go. None of them looked particularly optimistic, but their faces were set. Junpei nodded to them and turned back toward the red. All right, let's go. With strength and determination, he pulled the lever. Run! The four of them leapt through the door together. The moment they had passed through it, each heard a cold electronic sound coming from their left wrist. In the center of each bracelet, a red skull appeared and began to flash. The detonator's countdown had begun, and the long moment that each of them spent staring at their wrists. The numbered door behind them closed, the sound of metal on metal reverberating down the hallway. There was no way back now. They were committed. They could not find the device to deactivate their detonators. Hey, where the hell's the dead? How would I know? Don't give me that crap. Start looking. I already am. They began to run, eyes looking frantically for the device that was the key to their salvation. The hallway they found themselves running down was a long one, easily 300 feet in length. On the right side of it stood a series of wooden doors, all nearly identical. If they had taken time to think, they would likely have discerned that the doors lead to cabins. Don't tell me the dead isn't one of those rooms. Oh no, how many rooms do you think there are? Junpei was too frightened to count properly, but at his best guess, there were 7 or 8 of them. Ow. There wasn't time to count them, to be sure. Junpei ran to the nearest door. He grabbed the knob and shook it, hard. It wouldn't open. It didn't feel locked, more like someone had hammered an iron plate over the other side of the door. Junpei turned around to find another door, and saw that his companions had already run to doors of their own. They did not seem to be having any more success than he had. Their own words confirmed his fears. This one's no good. Same here. It's not moving. June was the last to speak up. As Junpei looked in her direction, his eye caught something he hadn't noticed before. A small red light flashed at him, dimly from the end of the hallway. That's it! Over there! Even as he yelled, he ran. He grabbed Santa, Lotus, and June and pulled them toward the light. Santa called out to them as he ran. Hey, how many more seconds do we have? How would I know? Our time limit is 81 seconds. I know that. I'm asking you how many seconds we have left. In all likelihood, Junpei figured nearly a minute had passed since the door had closed behind them. If that was true, urgency foremost in all of their minds, they arrived at the end of the hallway. The dead sat on the left wall, blinking almost tauntingly at them. Hurry! Junpei grabbed hold of the machine, his hands slick with sweat and shaking. He slammed his hand against the scanner panel. The other 3 quickly followed suit. With a grunt, Santa yanked the lever downward. Phew. Looks like it stopped. His hands began to steady. Junpei wiped away some of the sweat that had beaded on his forehead. As they caught their breath, the 4 companions began to look around. At the end of the hallway lay a heavy-looking set of double doors. Set into the walls of the hallway on either side of the larger door were 2 smaller ones. They all needed inspecting, but Junpei began with the largest of the 3, the double doors. How many times had he come across similar doors with similar results, he wondered. Or perhaps, he corrected himself, more a lack of results. Whatever the reason, the door remained firm and unyielding, and refused to allow Junpei or anyone else passage. Near the handle was a small keyhole. Above the keyhole was a small symbol engraved in the brass. Mail? He wasn't quite sure what to make of it, and stared at it for a moment in confusion. It was June that corrected him. No, that's not the symbol for mail. That's probably the symbol of Mars. Well, technically they are the same symbol. but I saw a number of similar symbols near the main stairway. The symbols of the solar system. The Sun, Saturn, the Earth. At least, that's what I'm assuming. So this isn't the man symbol. It's a symbol for Mars? I think so, yes. While Junpei and June talked, Santa had disappeared. They turned to find him some distance down the hallway. He had gone to check the other doors. Eventually, he reached the last of them and jogged back. It took him only a moment to catch his breath again. Here's the deal. None of the other doors open, and that must mean we only have 2 more doors. Lotus examined the doors on either side of the larger double door. Each one had a metal plate attached to it. Junpei figured they were probably room numbers. The door on the left read B92, and the door on the right proclaimed that it led to B93. Alright, let's open them. Yeah. Junpei put his hand on the doorknob for the door that said room 92. Santa moved to the door to room 93. They'd made it through the numbered door alive. There was nothing more to be afraid of. Junpei and Santa looked at each other and nodded. 1, 2, 3. In unison, they pushed against their respective doors, and promptly found themselves in a new room. June followed Junpei as he threw open his door. He turned around and saw that the door on the other side was open as well. Through the door was another person, his mouth agape. It was Santa. Hey, it opened. Yeah, it did. Junpei and Santa looked at each other. They had not expected the doors to yield so easily. Lotus's calm voice broke into their thoughts. Maybe this is all part of Zero's plan? I can't say I enjoy being treated like someone's puppet. As she headed for room 93, Lotus continued. Well, now we have these 2 rooms. I'm sure there's something in there that'll help us get out of here. Let's find it. Santa and I will search this room. Junpei and June, search the other one. Alright. Okay. Alright, so. That vase looks expensive. I wonder how much we can get for it. Are you gonna steal it? Hehehe. We got a thief among us. This is kind of a weird looking picture. Do you think it's an abstract painting or something? It looks kind of like a demon with an elephant-like nose, sucking on a human being's brain. Where the hell did that come from? What's her brain made of? Can't say I'd mind finding out a little more about what goes on in there. Matches! We're gonna light this place on fire! Junpei looked down blankly at what he was holding, then up at June. Oh yeah, how's your fever? You feeling better now? Yes, I'm feeling fine. June certainly looked fine. Junpei held his hand on her forehead for a few seconds. It seemed her fever really had gone down. Are you worried about me? Yeah, guess I am. June blushed and giggled. By the way, Junpei? How did you end up here? What do you mean? I told you earlier, didn't I? There was a man with a gas mask when you got home that night. You inhaled some white smoke and passed out. When you woke up, you were in D-Deck. Yeah, that's it. But is that really the truth? What? Junpei, are you hiding something from me? No? Why would I? Well, think about it. This is awfully suspicious. I mean, why would 2 childhood friends bump into each other in a place like this? Hey, I could ask you the same thing. Are you hiding something? What should I hide? Well, I don't know, anything. I mean, you're hiding it. How would I know? I mean, like, The number of men I've dated? Junpei's heart stumbled over itself. Do you want to know? He had to admit he was a little curious. Don't worry. She smiled at him. Only 18. Okay. Times 0, okay. Yeah, I guess I just haven't met Mr. Right yet. June looked a little embarrassed and scratched the back of her head in a desperate attempt to seem nonchalant. Junpei coughed quietly in much the same way. Anyway, I'm not hiding anything. Just like you, Junpei. When I woke up, I was on D-Deck. Well, you do have a point. I mean, why did Zero pick us? We haven't seen each other since elementary school. June nodded, and for a few moments she had the faraway look of someone in deep thought. Look for what connects the victims. That will lead you to the culprit. Do you remember Seven saying something like that? Yeah, I do. Well, that's what I'm saying. I think this must all have something to do with a classmate of ours. You got any ideas who it might be? No, nothing. Oh. Well, if it had something to do with school, then it could be one of our teachers, or maybe the principal. Or the janitor, or the lunch lady. Oh, I can barely remember any of them. Yeah, I know. I mean, they are lunch ladies and janitors. Not to discredit them, they're cool people. Junpei went back to searching, feeling unpleasant and confused. Elementary school. Elementary school. Was there anything strange that had happened at elementary school? As he searched the room, he continued to rack his brain.